Hey everybody, welcome to the Daily Signals Facebook Live. I'm Genevieve Wood. We are coming to you live from the March for Life. It's the very beginning of the parade right here. They're on Constitution Avenue, coming up right alongside. They're getting to go right in front of the Capitol. And they're yelling, "We are the pro-life generation." Okay, folks, they've been doing this march since 1974. January of 1974 was the first time this march started. Of course, it was following the 1973 decision by the Supreme Court in Roe versus Wade, making abortion illegal across the country. And ever since, you've had hundreds of thousands of people who have come out to say we don't stand for that and we want to see abortion overturned. We're going to talk to some of those people today, find out why they're here, find out where they're from, and what motivates them to be such a passionate part of this cause. If you didn't see earlier, President Trump, and this was a first, he spoke to this group live from the White House. Now, other presidents have spoken via telephone live-in, but no president's actually come out to the Rose Garden and held a ceremony and spoken live via the cameras. So Vice President Pence introduced him, and then the president spoke to them as well. And now they're going to march all the way up Constitution Avenue, and they're going all the way to the steps of the Supreme Court. So we want to make you feel like you're here. For those of you who couldn't make your way to D.C., it's one of the warmest March for Life days I've ever been to, and I've been to a number of them. Not near as cold as it normally is, but we want to talk to these folks and hopefully get a good feel for you of why they're here and what it's like to be here. So let's go on and enter the parade, shall we? And by the way, you're going to see tons of young people, high schools and even younger, bring a lot of their students here. They bus them in from all over the country to be a part of this, so I'm sure we'll be talking to them. Let's come on in. Hey, can I ask you guys where you're from? And why are you guys here? Why are you guys here? Why are you marching?
We're pro-life.
Is this the first time you've been here?
Yes, ma'am.
What school are you from?
St. Mary's, Annapolis.
All right, well, say hi to everybody out there watching.
How's it going?
Hey, guys, where are you from?
Annapolis, Maryland.
Are you part of St. Mary's as well?
Yes.
Is this the first time you've been to the march?
Yes.
What do you think about it so far?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Exciting to be here? Are you excited?
Yes.
We found some shy people so far, but we'll find some vocal folks. Okay, here are the vocal folks. Where are you guys from?
We are from New York. We're Palatine Teenage Federation, PTAF.
And how many times have you been to the march?
This is my first time, but
Walking?
many people here have been like for years. So
This is my third year.
Third year.
Yeah.
Why is this important for you to be here?
So I think it's so important that we take a stand and we show other people that we care about this and it needs to change. So
we love babies.
we love babies.
How long are you going to be in D.C.?
We're staying till tomorrow.
And did you guys see President Trump speak?
Yes, we did. Yes.
What did you think about that?
It was really good.
Yeah, I thought it was a very good speech, actually.
What did you like about his speech?
Him and Vice President Pence's speech, I think they both used a lot of things that Americans hold dear, and I think that was really great of them to do.
He's the first president against abortion. He's supporting us.
Yep. He supports
Well, there's been other pro-life presidents, but he's really come out strong, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for talking with us. Enjoy your time here. March on. So like I said, there are a lot of young people here. This is really kind of the beginning of it, and I don't know how far down it'll go. We won't have total counts in terms of how many people are here, but it's definitely in the hundreds of thousands that will be marching up. And as we go along, we'll get a good sense of it. But we're going up Constitution Avenue right now. On our side over here, you can get it just to get a feel. You can see the Capitol Dome. So they're marching alongside that, and we'll go up to First Avenue, where this march will hang a right. Hey, there's some good folks. Let's talk to them. I know these people, actually. They're on their way to the Supreme Court. Hi, how are you?
Good, Genevieve. How are you?
Okay, so this wonderful person here works for the Susan B. Anthony list. Tell them what Susan B. Anthony does.
Absolutely. Susan B. Anthony List is a pro-life political action committee. We are dedicated to electing pro-life leaders and then helping pass pro-life laws like the Born Alive bill that passed today in the House.
Yeah, so tell our audience about that. That was something the House actually did today. Tell them what it does and where it stands now with the Senate.
So the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, it builds on 2002 legislation that was signed by President Bush, which basically just said, look, when a baby is born alive after a failed late-term abortion, they're a person. And so this expands on that legislation and basically enacts criminal penalties for abortionists who fail to right away treat the baby like the person that it is and transport them immediately to a hospital.
And a lot of people have no idea that actually is happening or that that's legal in this country. What do you think that's going to happen in the Senate?
Well, I think that we are trying to pass that and the Pain Capable Unborn Child Protection Act in the Senate. The margins are quite difficult, and we had, I think, 4 Democrats vote in 2015 for the 5-month abortion ban. And you would think that something as simple as protecting people after they've survived an attempted abortion would be bipartisan. Unfortunately, it's not. So I don't think that it will pass the Senate, but that's not a reason not to have a vote. So we're hoping to have a vote on that and the Pain Capable bill.
It's important to get these people on record. And then with the Pain Capable bill, and Mallory, thank you very much. So Mallory Susan B. Anthony list, check them out, sbalist.org.
Right.
Exactly. Want to make sure I got it right. Great organization. Thank you. That many of you may not know this, but the United States is one of only 7 countries in the world that allows people to select an abortion after a baby is 20 weeks old, so at 5 months. We're up there with great company like China and Vietnam and some others. So Pain Capable, that's one of the things that we definitely ought to be pushing. And if you want more information on that, by the way, go to heritage.org, dailysignal.com. We cover all these legislative issues so you can see actually what's in these legislative measures and kind of where they stand in Congress. All right, let's take a look. We're marching, as I said, up Constitution Avenue. So if you go straight up the hill here, you can get a good sense for the crowd. And again, this is really, we're not even in the middle of it. This is really the beginning of this crowd, so it gives you a good sense of how many folks are out here. Again, this march has been going on since 1974. The first was in January of 1974, organized by a woman named Nellie Gray, who was the founder of the March for Life. And she was built into this. Nellie died a few years ago, but the organization, of course, lives on. Her memory is certainly here. But one woman, it just shows you what one person can do who really believes in something and wants to make a difference. This is what came out of her vision. No, he's gonna try to get it. Hey guys, where are you all from? Catholic High School.
Oh yeah!
Whoa, I found some very energetic folks. Okay, guys, tell everybody out there's watching from all over the country. Tell them where Paul VI is. Where is that?
Fairfax, Virginia.
Fairfax, Virginia. Okay, how many times have you guys been in the march?
3 times.
2 times.
Two?
Yeah.
And why is it important for you guys to be out here?
Don't protect babies. Protect the babies. Protect the
Duty.
A person's a person no matter how small.
How much of this is about, do you think, the culture? I mean, you guys, I heard a lot of marching of like, we are a pro-life generation. How about your friends, like your cohorts, not just at your school, but other friends you have? What do they think about this issue?
I think that we're in the minority. Pro-lifers are in the minority in this generation, and that needs to stop. People need to fight for the babies, like we are today. That's why we're here.
And you're with Panthers for Life.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Where are you guys from?
Oh, we're from New York.
You're from New York, and how many times have you been to the parade before?
This is our
Not
first.
parade, march, I should say.
This is our first time.
And
Yep.
what brought you out?
We decided it was important to stand up for the unborn, so we came with our church.
Well, thank you guys for talking with us. Hi, guys. Hi. You all enjoying the day?
Yeah.
You got one of the warmest days of any march I've ever been to, so you picked a good time to start. I'm going to drop back a little bit. You got it? Hey, ladies, where are you all from?
St. Mary Grady High School.
And where is that?
Hagerstown, Maryland.
And how many times have you all been out to the march?
This is our fourth year.
Fourth year. So how is this one compared to previous ones, besides the fact it's about 30 degrees warmer?
It's amazing weather, that's for sure. I don't know. It's been like this every year. It's really fun to come out and do this every year.
And what do you want to see change out of this? What do you hope the march actually accomplishes? I know you get inspired by being here, but what do you want to see happen?
I guess just more awareness for what we're standing for, more than anything, yeah.
Do you guys talk to your friends about this issue very much?
Yeah, we actually do, yeah. Yes.
What's their reaction when you all bring it up?
We have some who are, pro-choice, and then we have some who are pro-life. And when some are pro-choice, we're just like, oh, well, that's great. Here's why we're pro-life, and whatever. Just like, yeah.
Are you able to persuade people to your way of seeing it sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes we can. Because you can bring up other options, like pro-life isn't just babies. It's a lot of other people, like human trafficking, environmental issues, all that stuff. You make those points, and people are a lot more open to it. Just the babies, it's also the mothers, too, that you want to protect.
That's right. Hey, guys, thank you for talking with us. Appreciate it.
Yes, Sam. Yes, Sam.
So, again, we're coming to you live from the March for Life. These folks really started close down to where the Washington Monument is. They had speakers this morning, a number of different folks from different organizations that support this cause. But then, of course, they also heard from Vice President Pence and President Trump. And as I mentioned at the top, it was a first in terms of a president actually doing a live ceremony, coming out to the Rose Garden, giving a speech on camera, and having that broadcast. Others have called in. Ronald Reagan did back in the day. President George W. Bush did. But none have actually ever come out and held a ceremony as President Trump did today. So in terms, again, of numbers, we don't know yet. But it's going to be in the several hundred thousands, I'm sure, of folks who are here. And the goal, of course, is to bring attention to the issue. The reason we're marching up to the Supreme Court is because, of course, it started after the 1973 Roe v. Wade decision. Many folks here would like to see a lot of things happen. Some of it is yes, some people would like to see Roe overturned. But the reality is there's a lot that Congress could be doing that would go a long way in protecting the rights of the unborn, protecting women, ensuring that more babies find homes via adoption. There's a lot of legislation before the House and the Senate currently that deal with all these issues. Again, for those of you who are watching from home, we just wanted to give you kind of a feel for what it was like to be a part of the march. I know it's not everybody gets a chance to come to D.C. for this, but you do have people coming from all over the country, a lot of young folks. So where are you guys from?
Michigan.
Michigan. All right. How many times are you representing a particular school, or who are you with?
We're with.
We're marching with the Archdiocese.
Yes.
The Archdiocese. At what part of Michigan?
I'm from Grand Rapids, and then he's from Detroit.
Yes, ma'am.
You got to get the mitten out, right, to show everybody where you're from in Michigan.
Right.
So how many guys have you guys been before? Is it the first time?
I went last year as well.
Yeah, this is my second time as well.
Okay. Much warmer this year, isn't it?
Yes.
So why is this important for you guys to come all the way from Michigan to be a part of this?
I just support life, and it's just a great opportunity to do it with all these people.
What do you hope comes from the march? I was asking some other young ladies out here marching. What do you want to see happen when everybody gets back on the buses and goes home? What do you want to see happen?
Just a raise of awareness and ultimately, hopefully, a change. We want people to know that this isn't okay and that we want to see the world be a better place.
You know, a lot of polls out there would show that more and more of the American public is trending towards a pro-life, not maybe 100%, but more and more would like to see restrictions, at least, on many of the abortions and the types of abortions that occur. What's your sense when you talk to friends and other people like that?
Well, my big thing about the whole abortion argument is everyone hides it behind this whole, those few circumstances like, abortion in the case of rape or if the mother's life is at risk. But if you look at the numbers, that's an almost statistically insignificant number of abortions. I mean, but people hide it behind that and justify that they're all okay because of these circumstances. We can find some common ground, but we ultimately need to accept pro-life and, not allow abortions to happen.
Have you guys been following at all the whole debate with Planned Parenthood and the government funding that they get? What do you think about it?
I do not think they should be getting any government funding whatsoever. Because if you look at it, once again, most of that money goes towards abortions and other things that they claim aren't their main service, but we all know that's a lie. So,
well, hey, thank you for talking with us. Thank you. We're going to let you guys march on. Thanks for coming. Have a good time in D.C., guys. So, of course, the whole debate over Planned Parenthood is a huge one. And as I'm sure many of you know, they receive about a little over $500 million every year from the federal government. They get a lot of private dollars, too, but over $500 million come from the federal government. And Planned Parenthood is responsible for probably 1 in 3 abortions in this country. They performed the last statistics we have from their own annual report, over 300,000 in the most recent year of reporting. So they do perform a lot of abortions, and while they claim they don't use federal taxpayer dollars, indeed, those taxpayer dollars go to fund clinics and activities that do end up supporting abortion. And there's a huge debate over that. Congress could do a lot about it, but that's another one of those pieces of legislation that has yet to see the light of day, at least in this particular Congress. And, of course, many of the people here want to see action on that. They want to see Congress bring that up. As I was talking with Mallory from the Susan B. Anthony list earlier, even if you may not have enough votes to get them all passed, it's important to put members of Congress on record of where they stand. So as you can see, we're right across from the Capitol. We're on the Senate side of the U.S. Capitol right now. These folks are going to march up about another block and a half before they'll go right on First Street, where they will go about then maybe another half a block or so when they'll be at the Supreme Court, where they will have a rally there, usually few more speakers. Oftentimes they're met by protesters, people from Planned Parenthood, and a lot of pro-abortion groups are sometimes up there to meet them, but they are always overwhelmed by the numbers coming up from the March for Life movement. So as you can see, as you watch people here, this is a lot of groups, school groups, church groups, but a lot of families just bring their whole family to come and march. Some have been doing it year after year. We actually found a few folks, so this is their first time to be part of the march. So you have a lot of repeats, but you also have a lot of newbies. It's always an interesting crowd every year. So let's ask these guys, sir, with the camera, where are you all from?
Well, we live here in D.C. At Capuchin College.
Tell everybody where Capuchin College is and what it is.
Right near Catholic University.
And why is it important for you all to be here?
Oh, well, we support life in all forms and all stages of life.
One thing I've asked folks I've talked to, what are you hoping comes when the marching's over? What do you want to see happen?
Well, I'd like to see Roe v. Wade overturned. And just a better sense of the dignity of human life among all the United States and all the world.
Thank you, sir, for talking with us. All right, why don't we keep heading this direction? If you turn around here, you'll see this is the Russell Senate Office Building, which is one of the locations where many senators obviously have their offices. And you have a lot of people sitting up there on the steps who are both watching the parade. Many people kind of come along the parade route and join the parade as it gets closer to the Supreme Court. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the House today passed the Born Alive Infants Protection Act, and that we'll see then if it gets taken up in the Senate. But that's just one of several pieces of legislation that many within this movement would like to see Congress address. That, along with the 20-week bill, which I mentioned earlier, would say that after 20 weeks, after 5 months, it would be very difficult to have an abortion. And, of course, the United States is one of only 7 countries that currently allows people to select to say, well, I still want to have an abortion after 5 weeks. There's the whole question of defunding Planned Parenthood. There's also something called the Conscience Protection Act, which pro-lifers would like to see activity on. And that, of course, deals with whether or not, if you're a doctor or you're a nurse, someone in the medical community, and let's say that you're pro-life, you believe that abortion is a taking of a human life, should you be forced to participate in an abortion? There's some hospitals and a lot of states that say, yes, you should. If you work here, you've got to participate in it whether you agree with it or not. So the Conscience Protection Act would allow doctors, nurses, medical professionals who for their own religious and moral beliefs are opposed to abortion to say, no, I'm not going to participate in that without losing their job or having their pay docked or suffering in some sort of way. And one thing we haven't seen, doesn't always get a lot of play out of this, but this movement is very supportive of, is adoption, of course. And there's also something that we see on the left, those who claim that, they're not just pro-abortion, they want to help women and children, and yet they want to make it harder and harder for adoption agencies to remain true to who they are. So you have as I'm sure those of you who follow this issue very much at all know, many of those who are involved in the adoption business are religious organizations, groups like Catholic Charities, for example. But when they place children, they want to place children in homes with mothers and fathers because their religious teachings say that children should be raised by a mother and father whenever possible. Well, there are those on the left who say, no, you shouldn't be able to get any government dollars or any support unless you're willing to place children in, say, same-sex homes or the like. So that's where, again, religious groups are finding persecution, not being able to stand up for what they believe in. And unfortunately, what happens with that, it means a lot of Catholic charity adoption agencies are shut down. Other religious adoption agencies are shut down, and they aren't able to do the great work that many of them have done for so long. So that's also legislation that will be finding its way, hopefully, before Congress. All right, now we've just come to First Street. And as you can see, the crowd here is bearing to the right, walking along. So you can see what it looks like once you get up here. Can I ask you where you all are from, why you're here? I think I recognize this lady. Is this Marilyn Musgrave?
This is, yes. Hi.
Marilyn, I'm Genevieve Wood. We knew each other from years back. Okay, folks, this is a woman who was a member of Congress, and we wish we were still a member of Congress, to be quite honest, has done so much for this cause and so many others. Why are you here today?
My husband and I have 4 of our 12 grandchildren with us today.
Wow.
How about that?
And from Colorado? Or were
Colorado, all 4 of them, and we are so blessed to have them see this today and to reinforce their pro-life stand and to encourage them to see other young people, people from all over the world, people from all over this country. So it's a really blessing to be here today.
You've done that. You've seen this movement for many years. What do you think it is right now?
The face of this movement used to be older people, quite frankly, and now it's people of all ages, but dominated by young people. As the Speaker of the House spoke, as the President spoke, as the Vice President introduced him, I knew today history was being made. It is such an encouragement to have those leaders be pro-life, to have the President make 4 pro-life pledges, to have Neil Gorsuch on the Supreme Court, and to look forward to the next one. History's being made today, and we are on the side of history.
Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for talking with us. It's so great to see you. Thank you. And love your grandchildren. That's awesome. They're here. Have fun, guys. Enjoy your time. So she's absolutely right. I mean, when you can see that in the faces here, I mean, it's all different ethnicities are here, people from all over the country here, all different ages and races here, but tons of young people. And frankly, every time we have rallies at the Supreme Court surrounding this issue, there's always a lot of young folks out here. All right, so as you can see over here, we are now coming right up to the Supreme Court itself. And again, you may start hearing some other speakers. There's often, as I mentioned, pro-abortion groups that show up here because they always know this is where the march comes to an end, and they maybe don't want to have too much confrontation, but they like to have a presence. But it's very hard to find them because compared to all the pro-lifers that are here, it's a very small minority. And as of right now, I don't actually see anybody from Planned Parenthood or other said groups. So you can see it's a very peaceful march. People just walking with friends, walking with family members, and they're really just here to have a presence. They really want lawmakers to understand how many people care about this issue, how important it is to them, and they want them to see that in numbers, and I think you've probably seen that here today. Well, hey, everybody, thank you for joining us here on the Daily Signals broadcast of the March for Life. For all the information you want to find on issues related to pro-life legislation, what's happening in the courts on this issue, go to heritage.org or dailysignal.com, and you'll find all that information there. Thank you for being with us, and hope you've enjoyed this live broadcast from the March for Life.